Good.
You met Jeff traveling on there. Yeah.
Yeah, some, it's slowed down a little bit.
Oh, via Zoom.
Okay, good, sorry.
Yeah.
It'll,
I thought you meant
it'll pick up
that.
there again.
What?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah. No, they're gonna zoom in. Or
All right,
Courtney
perfect.
is for sure.
We have Courtney and Jeff.
Oh, they're already here.
Perfect.
Hi,
Hi.
Yeah.
we're just being quiet. I said I can keep my camera off and my mic quiet until you need us.
No problem. I am going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, Gail.
Josh is absent. Tyler,
Here.
Alex is absent. Jeff?
Yep.
Andrew?
Yep. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes. Second.
Jeff, second, Tyler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda passed. Public forum. Gail, do we have anything? Anyone for
No, we
public
do.
forum? No emails? All right, jumping right into announcements and celebrations.
Okay, good afternoon, evening, everyone. Happy summer. Hope everyone's having an awesome summer. Hope the teachers and staff are also getting some R&R time out there. Just a few updates and celebrations this evening. Wanted to start with a hiring update. At this point, we have hired 16 teachers throughout the district, and we're very excited about that. Hiring looks good. We're in the process of hiring one more position, and we have 2 or 3 applicants for that. So actually 3, I believe. So that's looking good. We still in August will hire some associates. So we have some, and that's our typical process is to do that in August when it gets a little closer. So things are looking fantastic. Our HR director, Mick Vanderpool, along with Carrie Clark, are working on our back to school onboarding process for our new staff. And so we're really looking forward to that. So that's an update there about hiring. Any questions about that?
That's great.
Yeah, let's go. Good news. And then the next celebration that we have is former Principal Jim Kornstrom has nominated Nancy Peterson for the memorial wall at the Tiger Stadium. Nancy was a longtime employee, social studies teacher at the high school, very, very beloved. Jim wrote a beautiful nominee for her, and so we just wanted to make you aware of that. From this point, this will be going to the foundation and getting all that and placing her then on the memorial wall with their help and support. So that's the other celebration.
Would that be this fall then?
That's my understanding. As soon as the foundation gets together to meet and make that happen, then as quick as possible, that'll take place. But hopefully this fall, so we can enjoy it while we're there for football.
Real quick, back to the hiring. Have we seen a slowdown? I know you mentioned we're sitting pretty well, but you keep hearing studies and there's seeing reports of a shortage of teachers throughout the country or even in Iowa. Have you seen anything on our side here from the applicant process?
We have, what we've seen is that my understanding is in the past, when we'd have an opening, we might have 20 to 30 applicants for a position. Now we're seeing maybe 10 to 12 or maybe 5 to 8. And we've spent a long time working with our principals on, and also Mr. Vanderpool has done that through HR about picking the best person. And so the principals have felt really good about the applicants that we have had and feel really positive about the people that have been selected to be in our classrooms. So it feels good. It just, I believe the pool is just smaller, but still very full of quality. So that's good news.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, moving right ahead to the admin reports, transportation update.
Okay, just wanted to make everyone aware that we are in the process. We have 2 vehicles, actually, well, 3 vehicles that have some significant age on them. One, our grounds director, Brent Randolph, does not really have his own truck to do what he needs to do. So we're looking at purchasing a new truck for him, as well as Dan Wright, who's the director of facilities. He drives a very old rundown van. And so it's time for both of them to get a new work vehicle that can hold their supplies have lock boxes on for safety of their supplies, and really so they can go from campus to campus to get the work done that they need. So that is coming. They're working with some local dealerships to make sure we get a good deal and to make sure it has things on it that can help multitask, if you will, like a blade on a truck and fog lights so you can clear the snow and things like that. So that's coming. The third piece I want to make you aware of is that our yellow delivery truck that goes from building to building for deliveries, for also our food services, we have made the decision, actually it's there right now, to wrap the vehicle. It's in good shape in Gilbert red and with our Gilbert tiger on it. So people will see it, it will look new, but it's our older truck. The engine, my understanding is, was rebuilt a couple years ago, so it's got a long way to go. So those things are happening. The funding for that is in lieu of a bus, because if you recall, we purchased 2 buses last year, and so that's where that funding is coming from for this year. So that's the transportation update that I have for you. Any questions about that?
No questions from me.
You want your vehicle wrapped as well? Gilbert Ridge?
No, it's a great advertising. If somebody would, they did that with buses over at Cedar Rapids with Wendy's.
Yeah.
It's a great
Good idea.
advertising. Yeah.
So.
Good.
Okay, and then moving on to the next update I have for you is open enrollment. So the legislature put into, and the governor signed a new law around open enrollment. We will be bringing this back to you, but I just wanted to give you a quick update about it. Essentially, what will change in our policy is there will be no more dates. Right now, there's a date that people have to apply by March 1st. So we use that date and then move forward from there on who is in, and we bring that to all of you. They've taken the dates out of the policy, and in the law, there's no dates. And so we're gonna have to spend some time in going back and saying, what does that mean? We will do some research about that before we bring that to you. So my questions are things around, can you apply in 2023 for 2027 if you're, that type of question, and we're gonna have to put some practices in place for that. So that's something we'll be looking at and that we'll be bringing to you. But if you hear that, anything, questions about open enrollment and about, well, I hear there's no dates anymore. That is true, there are no dates, but we'll have to bring that back to the board so that you, we're clear on what our practice and our policy will be.
It's good, because I think that's always been an issue, just being as much clarity of what that process is. So if it changes,
Correct,
all the more reason to communicate it.
absolutely, so. Okay, next up is the communication update. I just wanted to let you know that Troy Banning has been on staff for 2 weeks now. He's not here tonight because he is at the National School Public Relations Conference in Chicago this week. He was looking forward to that, and I know he'll connect with a lot of people. In that 2 weeks, he's already made some significant changes, just about really cleanup changes. He's going through our website, making sure it's consistent, making sure everything is stated in the same manner. He's working on that. He's worked with Principal Amy Griffin she knows how to make those changes in the website. So she's been training him and helping him so that he's able to make those changes. The other thing is, if you saw the story that he wrote about our 3rd grade chess player, that he wrote that wonderful story, put it on our website, and WHO Channel 13 picked it up. Roger Riley was out here Thursday, did a live shot from the front of the school, and it was a really incredible story. In talking to Roger after the live shot, he had nothing but compliments for Troy and talked about the reason he was able to put it on the air so quickly is because the story was so well written. He could use it right away, get the roll of video that he needed from the family and put that up there. So already we're seeing great things, and I know there'll be more to come. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And then the final administrator report that I have is on school safety. Again, I just want to make you aware, if you recall, the governor has come out saying that each school building will receive $50,000 per building for school safety. They're asking us to do a safety review first. And so that is something that will be, I don't know, volunteering is the right word for it, but it's something that we'll be looking at to say what does that entail? What does that look like? to see if that's something that we want to participate in. I would think that we would. We've already put some things in place related to safety, and we'll be bringing that information back to you and having those discussions about what's being recommended. We all know $50,000 per building, we're very grateful for. It sounds like a lot, but it will go through. So we'll have to prioritize what that looks like for our buildings and for safety. I know you all put some great safety measures in place a few years back, and I think that will help us do well on a safety scan, if you want to call it that. But it's something that we'll have to look at based on what the governor has shared on how we receive those funds and based on the recommendation that we'll have from that review.
That's good.
Question I have, Christine, kind of back to open enrollment.
Sure.
The new, not so much the new law, but maybe just give us a quick update
Yep.
on where we are sitting for open enrollment. I mean, for enrollment this next semester, then also maybe a kindergarten update with that
Yes.
new section.
Thank you, Andrew. Get a quarter later because you reminded me. I have it right here in front of me. So our enrollment on this date in 2021, district-wide, was 1578. And our enrollment as of today is 1647. So we are currently seeing an increase
4%.
of 69 students. Now that is all across the district. And remember, that is just our ballpark. We
Yep.
don't have hard numbers. We don't have students in seats yet. That can change as we move forward. So that's just where, if you're looking at that, it's a maybe, let's put it that way. We could have more students come in, or we could have some that have moved out who haven't called us yet. So that's a possibility. Now, going back to your question, Andrew, about kindergarten. So right now, we have 6 sections of kindergarten, and we have 108 kindergartners. Just a second, make sure I've got that right.
Yep, that's in the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah, you got it right in front of you. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So 90, so.
No, 102, showing
Right.
102, sorry.
That is correct. I'm looking at the wrong column. So 102, and last year at this time, we had 96.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. Okay. So right now, we don't need that additional section. We're okay. So that's, but I guess when you look at that chart, what I am being very open about is when you look at the column of open enrollment, you can see that we're pretty much full and overfull, not overfull, that doesn't sound quite right, but we are at capacity, let's put it that way, at every grade with the exception of first grade and third grade. And every other grade level, I think we still have some slots available. Nope, that's it, first grade and third grade. So we have a few slots there. Now, if families, as you recall, families that live in our neighborhood, families that move in, whether they're renting, buying a house, building a house, those are families in our district, and they come right in and are part of our district. These are families that have applied for open enrollment based on those dates earlier. So the numbers look good, but like I said, we use that as kind of a cautionary tale because we want to make sure we have students in seats before we wait for that thing.
But it's kind of showing what we thought. I mean, really, we kind of all thought the number is going to be up this year. We started it, and it says it right now, we're looking at, we're possibly could have, so it's called 7 students new as it sits today.
Correct.
And with the building of those apartment complexes, I mean, those could fill fast, right? That's, looks like the 1 3-plex is already inhabited. There's 12 more being built, so, yep, anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say, I would agree, we need to lean on being, having ample capacity rather than being short, so. Being in July, I guess, well, are you saying you're making the decision now on that extra kindergarten or wait?
Next, we'd have to hire.
Well, I already back in June, when I talked to Stacy, the principal, Stacy Edwards, about it, we had decided to just hold because our numbers are good.
Yeah.
Now, if we have 20 kids come through the door, then that will be a different conversation.
Yeah.
But right now, we're just holding. She felt like that was workable. She felt good about where we were. So we were gonna leave it at that, because what we were trying to avoid, sometimes you can't avoid it, sometimes you can't. What we were trying to avoid is just exactly what this is, which is come July, now you need another teacher and it's hard to find people.
Yep.
But we're not at that point yet, we're okay for now.
We've got some big classes in that middle school.
Yes, we do, but remember, as we've talked about before,
Yeah.
middle school and high school, it's not as clean
No.
as that many in a class.
I'm assuming more the just overall number of kids.
Correct.
145.
That is correct.
Lunch periods.
You got it.
all
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I'm not putting any class size, average
Yep.
class size. Kids.
And that's why we made some decisions, if you recall earlier in the year, we added a staff member to the middle school. And Mr. Danielson, the principal, added that into the schedule. Also, we added some counseling time at the middle school as well because of those numbers. And then if you look at the 5th grade group now, moving into middle school, they will alleviate, if nothing were to change, I know it's a year from now, they're a little bit smaller class, and that will help the middle school a little bit the following year.
But to get that jump though, typically, in that 6th grade.
Yeah, we
Some
do,
of the private
we do,
schools.
that is true.
Thank you.
Those are my reports, thank you very much.
Anything else for Christine? All right, Courtney, you want to give us an update on the master planning?
Absolutely. Thank you for letting us jump in today. Along with me here on the call is also Andrew Miller and Joe Copley. We've been at a few of the meetings with you guys, so we'll all be on tonight to listen, take any questions you guys have, and then we're going to run through what we have as far as kind of schedule timeline, where we're at in the process and what's upcoming and what's been done, and then how we're going to continue moving through the rest of the process. With that, Andrew's got a PowerPoint he's going to put up here, and we'll kick this off and get going.
Are you guys seeing the full screen PowerPoint right now?
No,
No,
Oh, okay.
1
Let
second
me
here.
stop share.
We'll pull the Zoom up, maybe.
Andrew, I was seeing if that makes you feel any better. It might be that they just have to pull it up on their end.
Okay, let me try again then.
I don't think we have it on our, I don't think we have the Zoom up on the screen is
We
all.
don't have Zoom on the screen.
So we just have
So
the,
Unless, the
agenda.
only option we have right now, if you could email it. Okay, you know what, we're gonna change something here.
1
We're
second
gonna
here.
change the computer to the Zoom computer. There you go. There we go.
Awesome, we're up now.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being flexible. Okay, so we just have a quick little recap of everything that we've done so far, as well as a few of the next meetings that we have and some goals that we have as far as getting to a point where we can make a recommendation as far as the final master plan and what that's going to be. So if you remember back to very early on, we've had 3 steps along the way of discover, where we're collecting as much data information as possible, inspire, where we're figuring out how to package all of that information together and create a solution that affects the most students positively as possible, and then implement, which is how do we finance that? How do we communicate that message out to the public so that we get as good of a possibility as possible of setting this in motion. So with that being said, this process has been very flexible. It hasn't necessarily been linear, step 1, step 2, step 3. I know right away we were in a rush sort of to get to in front of some of your educators. So we sort of jumped ahead and did some things out of order, and then we had to go backtrack. So we are checking all of our boxes. It just hasn't necessarily been A to B to C. It's been a little bit sporadic, but with all that being said, we think that we're right on pace with where we should be, and that we're in a good spot with the whole master planning process. starting off with the discover phase. So this is the first phase. We were able to get in front of the teachers twice. We were able to get full facility tours as well as a survey to all your staff members. So we were able to collect a lot of different data, a lot of information from them. Starting off with our first meeting, this was all the way back in April. We were able to generate this holistic view, sort of from a high level understanding of what's important to each facility and how that may change from elementary school all the way through high school. So this first meeting, we met with each facility individually. It was a PD day, so we were able to get in front of all the teachers from that building. And we gathered information like the values, what is important to you. What are, on the right, you'll see the 3 most important areas that you feel should be important or could be the most improved upon, and where are you at right now versus where would you like to be. And it was a very interactive day. There was a lot of moving around, but we were able to generate a clear understanding of how the curriculum mindset may be different from kindergarten all the way through 12th graders. So that first day was very nice. In May, we were able to dive in a lot deeper into more of the specifics. So once again, we were meeting with individual groups from the buildings, but this was a group of about 5 to 10. And we looked at each individual space. So not necessarily the macro mindset, but now more the micro, how our space is functioning, what's going well, what could be better in each facility. And so we covered this entire spectrum from large scale to small scale. And then we played catch up in June. Once the teachers were all gone, we sort of backtracked and we looked at our database. We did comparisons with other school districts. We were able to look at some of your studies that had already been done with ISFIS enrollment projections. We looked at Piper-Sandler financial information. And so with all of this, we were able to sort of fill in the gaps. Now that we weren't necessarily working with teachers every day, we can go into our own internal analysis and figure out so we have what teachers are saying, but now it's why. What is the data to back all that up? And so that puts us where we're at today. Looking at August, we have a few more touch points where we definitely want to get in front of a few more groups before we give that full analysis to our next school board touch point. So we have 2 more meetings planned, where the first meeting is August 1st with what we're calling a city leadership team. So we're looking at important people within the city of Gilbert and Ames, mayors, economic development, city administrator, parks and recreation. And we're trying to understand priorities for the city as well as the school and how they can work together, and then B, the community values as a whole, so that we can put our best foot forward when we are presenting some of those options in the next phase, and make sure that we're not stepping on each other's toes, because that relationship is going to be super important to make sure that we're working together. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we are running all of our findings from that Discover page or that Discover phase past the educators once more, so that there aren't any 11th hour surprises or there aren't any findings that they say, well, this isn't right. So we're going to make sure that we vet that extremely well through them. And we say, this is what you said, this is what we're finding. Is that passing your sniff test, essentially? And make sure that the educators are just as on board as we are. And then once we have all those meetings, we'll come to you with a report where this is just a little snippet, and it sort of piggybacks off of what you were just talking about with capacity. So if we do a capacity study of your primary elementary school, we have survey data that says, do you currently have the space to teach in your desired teaching methodologies? And 65% of your survey teachers said no. And so we can back that up with things like the ISFIS study, where we can look at how many students per classroom you have and what they project. So this scenario is with a 5-section classroom of first graders. And so you can see over here, if you were to have 20 to 25 students in your current classrooms, they are in the red, or I think it lines up to be about 10 to 15% undersized. So we have that sort of data that is layered with where you are heading, and ISFIS finds that you are going to be growing. And so we can layer some of that data to understand if teachers say they don't have space right now, it's likely not going to be getting any better. And so it piggybacks off of that conversation that you were just having, where we can explore, well, what does 5 sections look like? What does 6 sections look like? Do we need to look at adding more sections, more room? And we will do that for each facility in terms of conditions, capacity, and curriculum. So we don't want to give you the whole analysis right now. We'll leave it at sort of that snippet, because we are going to vet this through one more time with all of your educators. But that is what you can be expecting. And we're hoping to do that at your September school board session. We'll go through that whole entire report. That was very fast. Do I need to go back, ask questions? Anything?
Yeah, no, I got a quick question, Andrew.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the community leadership and the staff and the principals. What about just community members and parents? How are they getting involved, or when are they getting involved in this?
That's
Courtney.
my point to get to talk next.
Okay, sorry.
All right,
Okay.
let's just go right through it.
So then the next step after that, and we have this one potentially held right now for August 8th, would be that facility master planning committee group. And this is that group that would encompass those leaders you guys have identified, certain people in the community as parents, as supporters, as non-supporters that you want to bring to this group in order to be able to work closely with us to come through those options and those ideas. This is the group that we're trying to get pulled together for an evening meeting on August 8th. And I believe our kind of small core group meeting that we have been keeping updated throughout this process was looking at refining that group and getting that information out to them to be able to have this meeting. This is the one that we'll want to go through and make sure that they are aligning as well with what we've heard from faculty and staff, as well as the leadership and from you as well, to be able to kind of follow through with that vision, that goal, start in on some options and some ideas that make the most sense for the district long term, being able to understand what capacity we have, and then even set up reoccurring meetings, because the whole time through this process, through what we see of August, September, October, is meeting regularly in order to be able to refine and refocus some of those ideas that have come to the forefront, because we know there's a lot of wants and needs, especially right now, what we have put together from what we've heard through the surveys, the focus groups, and the sessions that we've had on campus, to be able to have ideas that support all of those and have this group be that vetting process. Pre this meeting as well, we also have that community survey that is ready to go out. We have the link to send to you guys tonight to do your final review of it, and that's ready to go out. And then talking about Troy, him and I have touched base and connected on how we can potentially be able to work together to refine that letter, that Dream Big letter, to go out to the public along with the survey. And I believe he is meeting with your website developer on Thursday as well, when he's back, to look at how we can integrate that onto the website as well. And then all of that culminates in order to be able to add to what Andrew talked about with the discovery pieces, this inspires piece that starts talking about all the different options and how we come to solutions in order to be the best for your district, so that when we get to that implementation, we have those plan options, those ideas that are going to set up that long-term roadmap for what you guys can do in the coming years in order to either phase through projects or take on large planning projects that are part of this process as the final step.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. And I said, you've got the list of community members and all that. We're good there. August 8th. And Tyler mentioned that's a school board night as well.
Yes, and if we need to, we can, we wanted to talk that through to see on flexibility if we can do that before or after, or if there's a time that works best to be able to do that. That was one of those things that was still hanging out there. We earmarked that date, but we need to get that one finalized and on the calendars.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I might suggest we move I don't know how we feel about this, but if we move back the school board meeting by half an hour, because we have an all-day administrators retreat Then from 3 to 4:30, the administrators are gonna work with the architects to do that piece. Then from that, they're gonna move to the community meeting. And so it would be great if we could then do that meeting maybe,
6:30.
yeah.
We do that, that's not a big deal.
Dropping all that on
Make
the
sure the
eighth.
public knows.
It's a long, that's a long day.
Yep,
The
that's
principal's
all right.
meeting is on the first, but you're saying they're also meeting with them on the eighth.
Yep, the first we had down was the like city leader one, the Gilbert and Ames city
Right.
leaders one. And then the 8th was going to be then to bring all those back together with the principals at their meeting at 3, and then to be able to go into the facility master planning committee meeting, and then if you had your board meeting.
That works for me, it's okay with you.
I'd say make sure you pace yourself. 'cause that's a long day.
Well, that's gonna be a long day, but you know what, it's fine, it's just, it's August and it's back to school and that's just kind of how it is, so. And that's all kind of mapped around when everyone's available, I mean, it's when
Yeah.
Courtney and her team can be here, and, you know, our work on that day is really Courtney's team facilitating, we'll just be welcoming and opening, I think, on the 8th, and so it should be okay.
And that community piece is very important, so I want to make sure we've got, that works for 15 or 20, however many people we have on that.
Yes,
That
and
works really well.
I can share out or give that to Gail to share it. I think we did it one time. Currently we have 23 people on just the community list. And then, excuse me, just remember, exactly as Courtney had said, Troy has already started with Gail. Gail kind of helped him get going on putting information on the website. And then we're adding a button that says if you want to give input or give feedback,
Perfect.
they'll click it, there'll be a survey there. So anyone in the community, they don't have to be on the committee to give
Just,
feedback.
nope, that's awesome.
They can give that feedback in that way.
And Troy will be pushing this information out.
Correct.
Awesome.
Christine, is Troy going to be the one too that also sends out that community survey to the listserv that you guys have?
Right now, that is scheduled with Carrie, but we might need to talk to Carrie a little bit about, I'm not sure I was quite clear about how that was going out, so I think we need to clarify that a little bit with Carrie, that that's
Okay.
through Infinite Campus to all of our, and then we're also gonna put it on the marquee. So if someone doesn't get information through Infinite Campus, they might hopefully see it on the marquee.
Okay, we will send you guys that link right now. It's a just like a Survey Monkey link that you can click in and then the questions pop up there. So we'll send that to you guys after this call so that you guys have those to look at, and then you can run with that unless you see anything else you want edited on it.
Thank you.
Courtney, were those the questions we went through whenever last time we met then?
Yes, we revised a couple of those that we talked about and kind of directed a little bit more towards facilities on a couple of them. So if you want to look at that, that'd be great to get one more set of eyes on it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you guys all want to see it before it would go out? Or do you just want me to send it to that core group that we keep getting on calls with?
Core group. I think-
Perfect.
Jeff, you have any questions?
No, I just, the document we'll get on the September meeting, that'll be a pre-read, so we'll read it before the meeting. Okay.
Will you make sure we have the document for the board meeting so the board can review?
Absolutely. We're hoping you guys can help look at that too as well as far as draft versions go.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Courtney. I don't
No
think-
problem. Thanks, guys. Hope you're having a good summer.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
All right, Christine, we've got the bike pedestrian path update. Sounds like we've got a quote in. Is that correct?
We do. We have about 3 quotes there, and the 3 quotes that have come in, and please understand, I've been working with Brett Randolph on this particular project, are all 3 at a higher number than we had originally, as the board had originally approved for the extension. So that has created some discussion with Sam Stagg as well as with Brent. and what you guys want to do about the additional cost. I believe one quote came in at around 97,000. One was at 132, I believe. Gail, do I
I
have
have
it?
112 here.
And 112, there's three of them that I saw, 112. And so they were all over, I think your original approval was around 75. Do you recall that, Gail, from our previous
Not
meeting?
offhand, but it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I think it was 75,000 was your original. It was originally, I think, 50, and we moved it up to 75,000 to say, let's do this. And now the quotes are even higher. So the question in front of you related to this expansion project extension is, do you want to move forward with the higher dollar amount? That's question one. I'm not sure we can, any of the companies can have it completed before school starts, and I'm not sure we want to have that road shut down during the school year when kids are coming in. I don't know what that looks like or how they would do that, but that's a question that I have about traffic flow that I don't have that information. But first and foremost, it's about, do you want to spend the extra money now? Or would you rather wait till spring? Sam and Brent both thought maybe spring, but then I was having a conversation earlier today about, will want to be just as expensive or just as busy in spring as it is in fall. So it's a conversation for you to have and for your decision.
Jeff, what's your thoughts?
Well, I wasn't happy with the bid at 70, so obviously, you know, my thoughts are now, what are they bidding, you know, like I talked to Christine, are they bidding it not to get it? Does nobody want the job? I don't know what the answer is. I mean, this is all just.
And is the bid to tear out what's there currently and put in new? Is that where we ended up rather than trying
What
to?
is it, the 10-foot, whatever the width that we approved the last time?
I mean,
Do you pull that up, yeah?
Yeah. It's been a
I was
while,
trying to
so
find it
let's-
out here. I don't know. I can't find it.
My thoughts are, we're not gonna be done this before school starts. We might as well just fund it off till spring. And we should probably get this darn thing done. We've talked about it forever, but
Which tab is it under?
my opinion, I think
It's
you're gonna
the
slow down.
information, well, there's nothing for tonight.
Right.
yeah, it's just
Um,
discussion.
So I'm just trying to remember when we went back and we had, and back in March meeting.
Oh, I see.
I don't know how far back. I don't see anything there.
I mean, you know, what's our plan? I mean, we can't just keep saying we're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
But I mean, what's our plan?
that's where I'm at. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we just gotta do it, in my opinion, but I think there has to be a date and a timeline to it.
Right.
In other words,
Oh, here it is, guys.
if we were to accept it, that was the original estimate,
Yeah,
74.
74,408.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So-
we're 24,000 over that.
Yeah, but what's the,
But you have a bid here from, came from Sam, right, at the Keith Cooper and Sons at 132.
Yeah.
And then I have another one here from Construct.
Yeah.
Which is bid at 92.7,
92. Okay.
would be available to start this work anytime. It says this excludes bond and add 1% if required. All for question.
Construct.
Yeah.
And they could start at any time,
That's what it says.
at 92.
so what was the difference? Can you look on that and see where the difference in the markup is different?
Well,
You-
this one does list, and I can't quite see that, Jeff, up there, so I'm gonna just read what's on here.
Go up a little bit more.
But
This
wasn't
one
this
has the
Sam's?
excavation, this is construct. So it has the excavation, subgrade prep, PCC sidewalk, PCC.
Yeah, but I mean, what's your numbers there? That's what I was wondering because
Oh,
how do we get to 77,000 or 92,000?
But isn't this Sam's?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but they're bidding at the same, Tyler, I think, because I was looking at it. They had 700 and some feet of 5-inch concrete.
So what I see up there, Jeff, is that first 7.1.
Yeah,
It says 32,000 something.
yeah.
And I can see on here, this has 43,000. So that's a significant.
So it's no difference in labor, it's just product cost, you know, it's a little easier to live with product costs, the way everything's going versus the labor increase.
I don't, 2.1 on this knowledge or construction, 2.1 is 29,000.
And 2.1 on here is construct is, if it's excavation and embankment, 9,954.
Yeah, this one, that's like, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I personally, I'd say let's get this headache done. Construct's a good company. If they've got the low bid, it's higher than what this was. That doesn't surprise me in this market. If they're available to do it essentially now, that'd be my vote.
And I can have them do that. We don't have to necessarily bring it back to the board. We can just go ahead and move forward with that.
And that's just me. So if you guys say,
No, I
You
think,
wanna wait?
you know, I think you're right. We gotta have a plan. We just can't keep putting it off. I mean, I agree.
Well, let's,
Um,
we can make the, whatever your discussion, but I think we definitely need to, at the August meeting, which isn't that far away, August 8th, if there's any documents or anything, then we'll take action.
So
The
can they
city's
start
actually-
on it now though, based on,
Well, the only thing I would do is I'd have your grounds guy have the conversation, like, how come there's such a difference between 6,600 and 29,000? Did we bid it wrong? I mean, just make sure that everything's right.
Yeah.
And if everything's right and their bid is 92,000, then do the deal.
Okay.
But if we have something interpreted different, then maybe there's some money there to be saved, but that's about our only leg to stand on. I mean, face it, Sam didn't get it right, you know, that's okay.
and
That's the way it goes.
the city's already done their little extension across, so now there's about a 2-foot, 3-foot gap where this should be, so. I mean, it's not surprising that material costs are higher, but
so next board meeting, we'll have this on the agenda. It's an action item, but I think if we let construct know,
Just let them know.
Okay.
Well, how much can you sign for?
not that much. I don't think.
I think we just looked at this, so we can, I think it's up to 100.
Yeah, so we're good as long as we're not over 139,000.
For RFP.
139,000 takes us to the sealed bid
Sealed bid
process.
process.
Right, but I mean, what can she sign for?
I think.
I want to get it done. I'm like Tyler, I want to get it done.
Thought it was $100,000, which is why we talked about the vehicles, because we're doing them
Yeah,
separately.
individually,
Go ahead
yes.
and sign them.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look at that.
I mean, just let's get it done. We're gonna do it. It doesn't have to come back to us in August.
We can give an update.
There you go. Maybe you can come
Pictures.
back to us and it's done.
would have.
I do like to get things done, Jeff.
I
as
know you do.
So I'll see what I can do.
But I'm okay with that.
We'll make sure that if I can, according to our policy, if I can get it done right away, we will. If it can't, because you guys have to vote on it, then we'll bring it back in August.
Thank you, Christine. Moving on to some old business, we've got revised 2022-23 school fees and food service prices. You'll see that in your packet. We've changed pricing and updates on that, Gail or Christine? Just,
Yeah, there was, when we brought it to the June meeting, you know, that we needed to have the new prices in so parents could, register the kids, and then, but the state and the federal government were waiting on, they didn't know if the meals were gonna be free again or what, and so then finally, it wasn't until 2 weeks ago, or maybe 5 to 7 days ago, they finally came out and gave the, released the application for the new school year and the prices of reimbursement that they're going to be, federal and state reimbursement. And Deb did the crunching of numbers and the costing of material, of the supplies, and she felt like it was just too tight. So she felt that we needed to bump up the prices a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then the padlocks, the $7 doesn't even cover the cost this year. And so we need to bump that up to $8. So they were approved, and now we're gonna just revise the lunch, 6 through 8, 9, 12, and the adult. The adult is a mandatory price. 6, 8, 9, 12, based on their size of meal compared to the others. She thought that we needed to up those. And then the padlock wasn't even covering the cost of a padlock.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. First item of new business is the acceptance of the completion of the athletic fields for the payment to athletic field construction, the amount of $73,417.72. And this is the final bow, right, on our construction project. This is the last payment we have sitting out there. So everything, again, updated fields are great. We're in good shape. Story construction is signed off on this.
did we settle everything with the two groups, the one we didn't want to pay, or we got rid of it? So we're good there, or did we
Yes,
have?
they
did-
came back out and made their pieces. They corrected their pieces with the help of Story Construction, working together, so
That's this
they fulfilled their agreement, so we're good.
We've been holding the money out for a while. This is the last payment of that, Jeff.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. Next is consider approval for the high school dance team to attend and perform at the Reliquist Bowl in Tampa, Florida on December 28th through January 3rd. Again, there's a letter you saw from the senior students, which I thought was very, very well written.
That's good.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
second,
Further discussion?
are you guys, are you guys okay with this? Okay,
It's exciting.
yeah, I think so too. I think,
Yeah.
wow,
It's exciting.
so, okay.
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, next one is consider approval of the 2022-23 legislative priorities. We have to have top 5 priorities, and we turn this in every year to the state. You can kind of see the list there. Our top 5 are mental health, teacher leadership and development, teacher recruitment, local accountability, decision-making, and school safety. Is that 5?
Is school safety.
School safety is part of local
Yeah.
Oh,
accountability.
Sorry,
decision
sorry.
making.
So then we gotta find the 5th one is what you're saying. Okay, sorry about that.
And here are the ones are that follow that people submitted.
Those are all ones, right?
Yeah.
I would propose pulling broadband access and connectivity up
Number
would be my
28.
suggestion. To go with the level 4, just knowing the virtual world that we're in.
I'm okay with that, Jeff. What's your
yep, yep,
thoughts?
no, I'm good.
Okay, we have number 8, number 13, number 16, number 29, and number 28.
28.
Do we want to designate a board representative name a board representative at this time? To go to the delegate
Oh.
assembly?
Either one.
I can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I went last year.
Yes. motion.
Move to approve those 5.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. Consider approval of offering voluntary early retirement program, board policy 407.6.
so
This-
moved.
This, no changes from last year, is that right?
No,
Gail?
we just bring it up every year just so people can plan and
Second.
Perfect. Further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. Last is consider approval for bakery and dairy bids, which again are in your packet.
not much activity.
Yeah.
But we did get to dairy and there were definitely a significant difference, so
Yeah.
it was pretty,
But just no bids on the bakery.
no.
Every year, I think we only have one bid.
And this year, all.
Yeah. Move to approve.
second,
Further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. Financial reports.
What I'm reporting tonight, not, this is ongoing, this is open until August, and I think I probably stated that several times through here. So it's basically just a cash balances that we, it reconciled cash balances and where we're at. The books will remain open until August 31st, so there will be lots of activity happening every day. There's bills being paid and so on and so forth. But overall, the actual monthly, we have, $500,000 accounts receivable for tuition to come in yet. And likewise, we have to pay tuition out. So some big ticket items to pay out yet. and that's what the biggest is the accruals. It looks different because of, you know, the activity is June, but the accruals is going to capture everything that happens between now and in August. And you can see where it looks like we're so far ahead. Well, a lot of that is the accruals that will happen and the things. And so you can see that there's a lot of money out there that will switch in receiving and expensing. So other than that, cash, which reconciliation, the cash balance is all good compared to a year ago. We don't have a cash issue. Our cash balances are good. And as you can see, our capital projects, we will close that out this month. So it is actually going to be zero. We'll close it out until our next capital project. And it was great timing. So thanks for getting it done by June 30th. So we didn't have to account for it for another year. We amended the budget. It was back in May, and then that's just the orange. And so our spending still looks good, but all of our expenditures will be counted towards this budget as we go forward. Fiscal plant and equipment, we're doing a lot of projects. So the thing that we have to account for during this time of the year is, did it happen before July 1 or did it happen after July 1? To determine was the project started, was the equipment received? So this is information as of June 30th, and these numbers, again, will change as we code bills and determine which year they need to be accounted for. Activity fund, same thing. There's still some activity. We have a lot of fundraising going on for the competitive cheer is doing a big fundraiser. We still have a lot of things. Boosters they need to get some money to us for reimbursement. A lot of activity in here. But by the end of August, all these have to be zero or above zero, and we will work with the AD to make sure that that happens, or the cheer sponsor. It's a little hard and tricky when they're in the middle of a big process, but we manage it, and as long as we communicate, it'll be fine. And food service. Wow, compared to last year, who would have ever guessed that we would have been in the position we end this year. This cash for school nutrition will not change that much because there's not a lot of activity. It ended, they stopped purchasing, so the bills were really captured in June. So this report won't change much, and we ended like the year to date, our revenues were 581,000 more than last year. For the federal funding was phenomenal. As you can see, the federal was 517,000 of that. It really was a nice position to be in. And expenditures, I don't think this will surprise anybody. 221,000 more than a year ago. And and for a cash position, a very nice position to be in. All salaries paid. And so the negative meal account balance, I did mention that, part of that flexibility fund, $15,000 was allocated to help clear up some of those accounts. It was able to clear up all student accounts. We have the 395 is an adult, and of course we don't do that. So that was nice. And so that's maybe something we want to think about in the future, but we'll deal with that on a yearly basis and see what the needs are and move forward. I know Deb really appreciated that action by the board. And so now, as we move forward to the new year with people paying again, we all hope that people start paying again. Yeah. That's the fear that we kind of have is, will they be used to not paying? And what will that look like going forward?
How is our communication on that being rolled out? I mean, that's gonna be, people have been, it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
Deb has already rolled it out before the end of the year. I think something went out maybe in April, then another letter went out in May. So that is something that we've been telling people. The one thing that I want to add to that is to say, if families need to fill out that free and reduced lunch application, because that has a huge impact on the entire district, and we can help families. And with the prices going up and everything, then this is a way for families to get the help and support that they need, and it helps the district in lots of ways, not just in the lunchroom. So
We did switch our payment process. We used to, I don't know if you remember or familiarize, if you don't have students, but we used to use RevTrack as our credit card company. And it wasn't outside, we didn't really merge with our, it did merge, but July 1, we switched over to Infinite Campus, which is our student. And so parents, it's so much more friendly for them. They don't have to log into a third party, and outside it's within our student database. And so they have the options for credit cards. They can set up reoccurring payments. They can do e-checks. There's a lot more option and flexibility for parents with this Infinite Campus payment, which is new as of July 1.
Any changes to the qualifications for free and reduced?
I don't believe they have changed that. That comes from the federal government. Gail, do you have additional information
It's
on
on the
that?
website.
Yeah.
It's based on the number of your household and your gross earnings. Or unless you own a business, then it's based on your tax return. But if you're a wage earner, it's based on your W-2 gross.
Yeah.
But the number of people in your household and your income.
Do we know that, like in the last year with the inflation that's happened, I mean, has that qualification number changed, or is that?
It changes every year, and how much of it, what the difference is, I don't know.
But
But yeah,
good
and that is set by
Yep.
USDA or the federal
The
government.
federal government.
Because,
Yeah.
that does change every year, but I don't know how much it changed.
That'd be good to communicate though. That's good. Thanks.
Yeah, that's good.
It's on the website. Other than that, you have anything else?
When you go to do your budget on the students for next year, will you adjust it to what is more of a number that we're seeing versus, like we did our projection on no increase, right? So now will you change that?
That won't be changed until October, until we can measure that.
But then you'll go back and then.
Absolutely, every time, so this right for every time there's unknown, then the estimate will be changed to the known.
Okay.
And that will be going forward. That would be, one of the first events will be October 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be an ongoing. Estimates will be turned to knowns as we go forward, absolutely.
Any other questions for Gail? All right, Gail, thank you very, very much. Great work. Consent agenda. Anything need to be pulled or discussed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passed. Next scheduled meeting is August 8th, which we discussed moving that to possibly 6:30. So let's make a note of that now, that we're looking at 6:30. And the next meeting after that, September 12th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.